I'm Chris Adderley, I'm a retired librarian, but I'd never read Brick Lane while I was actually at work. I didn't know about it really, except that it was shortlisted for Booker Prize and obviously well talked about. But when I read it for the Reader's Circle, I was very surprised. I don't normally read family stories, and this is essentially a family story, but with a family with a very different background to mine. It's set in a Bangladeshi world. Starts off in Bangladesh, where the heroine Nasreen actually is born, and then when she moves to London, completely and utterly different world. It's an arranged marriage for her, so she doesn't know her husband, she doesn't love her husband, but she learns to love him during the course of years of marriage. And that was a twist I wasn't expecting. Because at the end, one of her daughters says, "Do you love him?" And she obviously does. Her husband's actually a very lovable man. He's a bit ineffectual, but he's kind, he's generous within his limits. He lives in a different world. And what I liked about this book was it gave me an insight into a world that I don't know. Because the background of all the people concerned is so very different to mine. And that I found fascinating, because it showed you a world where a girl grows up with very, very different values to the Western world that I grew up. Far less freedom, but valued in a way that she perhaps doesn't realise. When her marriage is arranged for her, her husband has actually chosen a very good man for her. A decent man. He may be 20 years older than she is, but he's a decent man and he does his best for her. He struggles with a modern world. His children are growing up quite westernised in spite of all his attempts to turn them into young Bangladeshi ladies. And the clash of cultures between the two young daughters, who are 12 and about 10, who are growing into a world that is completely different to the world in which their parents grew up, is very, very well drawn. I loved the way the characters were brought. That do?